Dishonest, violent, horrible. A promiscuous swinger who lied to and cheated on multiple partners. Incredibly, that's how Sean Diddy Combs' own lawyers described the billionaire music mogul, currently facing serious sex trafficking charges in a New York court.
We press our faces to the lens and catch Christian Kingholm standing dead center, beneath a brutal spotlight. The shadow of his father's colossal legacy stretches across the studio floor like a steel cage. You can feel it thick in the air, like smoke before a fire. The speakers hum with a beat wound tight like a loaded weapon, and Christian's jaw, locked in that reckless tilt the kind only a son, ready to challenge the crown, dares to wear. He's about to drop something different, something dangerous. A track called Diddy, and everything in the atmosphere, every flicker, every breath warns us. This isn't just another song. It's a jailbreak in audio form, a bass-drenched rebellion, a soundwave-shaped grenade thrown straight at the empire.
Are you surprised by the evidence that's already coming out in the criminal trial?
No, I'm not surprised. I experienced some of those things. Witnessed violence.
Of Sean Diddy Combs, he hits play. The room holds its breath, and before the first snare even cracks, there's a silence louder than applause, one that hisses, "Your move, Dad." We linger in that silence because it mirrors the same heavy hush blanketing a West York federal courtroom, where Diddy now sits hunched under the sterile glare of fluorescent lights. 2 counts of trafficking for illicit purposes. 2 more. For transporting partners across state lines for what prosecutors describe as orchestrated rendezvous, and 1 looming racketeering charge, monstrous in scope, still dangling above the 55-year-old Titan's legacy like a guillotine. Just yesterday, jurors whispered they'd reached verdicts on 4 charges but remained hopelessly deadlocked on the biggest one. As those 12 deliberators crawl through court transcripts thicker than a Manhattan phone book, Christian's new track detonates online at midnight. The hook alone, a dare, a test, a trap. Is it a show of loyalty for his father's freedom, or a veiled scream that he too wants out from under a name now saturated in scandal? Our minds rewind a decade. We see the dinners, the structure, a household where family meals came with set lists, where public appearances felt like dress rehearsals. Approval wasn't offered, it was earned in billboard placements. Insiders call it the Combs curriculum. A blueprint so rigid, it made boot camp look like recess. Rumors swirled that if Christian or any of his siblings booked a feature without Dad's nod, phone lines mysterious.
How many people came through his orbit? How many people could this have happened to? And how did he get away with it for so long?
Mysteriously died. Venues ghosted them. Collaborators suddenly vanished. Coincidence, or something more calculated? Some whisper of a shadow blacklist, mythical spreadsheet allegedly passed between studios and A&Rs. A warning, no collabs, unless Papa Combs signs the permission slip. And we're left wondering, did the mogul who built empires on beats quietly slow walk his own bloodline, just to keep his own spotlight from dimming? We freeze-frame Christian's lyrics, combing through each bar like it's an FBI wiretap. There's that sly line about keeping a clean face while they drag the image through the dirt. He jabs at nameless critics, says they're seating people who used to stand on business. In the wrong context, it reads like a son rallying behind a father drowning in federal quicksand. But tilt the line just slightly and suddenly, it's a veiled accusation, a cry from the prince locked in the tower, calling out the wizard behind the curtain. "Dad, stop pulling strings." That's the whisper we hear between the bars. Then we cut to July 1st. Federal courthouse. Flashbulbs erupt like fireworks. Diddy's neck stiff, expression unreadable, shoulders squared in an immaculate charcoal suit. He turns toward the gallery, taps his chest, mouths, "Love you," then adds aloud, "I'll be all right." For words that bounce off the courtroom would like both a prayer and a threat. The press pool barely has time to upload the clip before Christian's midnight drop detonates. Timing. In the Combs School of Optics, it's not just strategy, it's scripture. So, was this sabotage? A son stealing the spotlight? Or a coded SOS wrapped in 808s? The edges blur, the silence sharpens, and then one phrase crashes through the timeline. Wild King Nights. The courtroom froze when they heard it. A former insider described them. Private gatherings, hosted in hotel rooms or penthouse bedrooms. Attendees hand-selected Christian's father, always in control, and prep. It involved baby oil, Astroglide, and contracts with NDA Inc. Still wet. We remember Cassie's voice breaking on the stand, 11 years condensed into one afternoon of surveillance, footage, and trembling memories. She recalled a March night in a luxury LA hotel. A disagreement spiraled into hallway chaos. The moment was caught on camera, but what wasn't? The videos allegedly used as threats. The freak-off stays-long sessions that prosecutors could barely say aloud without collective breath-catching in the room. For 6 weeks, we listened to a mosaic of intimidation, hush money masked as friendly stipends, Threats whispered behind studio monitors, pain disguised as partnership, and floating above it all was one word: control, which is why Christian's chorus hits different. Ain't nobody sleeping till Diddy's free. Or was it, till we're free of Diddy? We scroll the industry chatter. One publicist swears Diddy called her at 2 a.m. demanding a cover story be pulled. Why? Because Christian was front and center and, allegedly, Dad needed that media slot for a fragrance launch. Another insider claims a European festival quietly dropped King Combs after receiving a call from the top. The stories pile up like Jenga pieces, some flimsy, some rock solid, but what unnerves us isn't the details. It's the pattern. Every time Christian veers into his own spotlight, a shadowy detour appears. Like someone at the top doesn't just want to mentor him, but manage the myth. We hear from a former artist once ecstatic to sign with Diddy. He was the mogul, the architect. I grew up listening to the legends he made. The artist's voice shakes to be signed by him. That was the dream. But somewhere between the dream and the dungeon, something fractured. And now, Christian's bars may be the loudest crack yet. We watched the trial's juror drama unfold like a chaotic season finale. Within the first hour of deliberations, the foreperson pleaded with the judge to rein in a rogue panelist, someone reportedly refusing to follow instructions. The judge, careful not to derail the process, simply said, "Please continue deliberating." It felt less like a ruling and more like a parent telling bickering teens to go figure it out. Meanwhile, just outside those courtroom doors, Christian's older brother showed up in a tee bold enough to rattle walls. "Free Sean Combs" printed across his chest in all caps. A bailiff made him flip it inside out. Optics. Even clothing needs clearance now. And in the overflow room, a wild card appeared. The silent but unmistakable, some call him a creative prophet, others a chaos magnet. But with the executive producing Christian's Evan-track, missile never stop. Speculation ignites. Is King Combs linking arms with the two escape the long shadow of Diddy's blacklist? Or is the simply catching a ride on Scandal's comet for clicks and infamy? Either way, we know one thing. Scandal loves a duet. Then the mood fractures. A woman steps forward, hidden by an alias, Mia. Alleged victim number 4. The courtroom goes silent. Everyone warned. No descriptions, no identifiers, just her story. Meanwhile, the prosecution wheels in Cassie's 800-page testimony. The defense pleads to trim it down. The judge splits the difference. Debates ignite over what's relevant, what's prejudicial. The jury is left chewing on transcripts while Diddy flips between two self-help books, allegedly trying to manifest peace in the middle of a firestorm. We wonder what lines stick with him. Norman Vincent Peale. Change your thoughts and you change your world. The irony drips thick as Pro Tools reverb. Back in LA, sources say Christian and the vanished into Studio B at a nondescript warehouse the same night. Diddy reportedly tried calling Christian's phone 10 times with no reply. A friend whispers, the session felt electric, like we were lighting a match to burn down a dynasty. Another claims Christian kept checking his phone, half expecting a text of validation that never came. Minutes later, the final mix exported, and Christian hit send with a grin that was half relief, half rebellion. Streaming platforms lit up. Within seconds of drop, the analytics chart spiked like crypto on Insider Info. Hashtag spawned memes exploded. Listeners dissected every lyric like it was evidence. That clean face line. Some called it pride. Others called it protest. Maybe both. Then we zoomed out. Looked at the larger constellation of Combs' kids. Whispers swirled that eldest son Justin shelved his own album after Diddy demanded changes. So sweeping, it turned into a glorified cameo tape. There's talk that the twins' once rising stars had deals collapse after the lawsuits hit headlines. And suddenly, a father's protection starts looking less like shielding and more like silencing. Because if your last name is the brand, and the brand's under fire, are you a soldier or a shield? We start asking the harder question, was Diddy building an empire? Or constructing a kingdom where his children wore crowns too heavy to remove? And the indictment, the one with teeth, reframes everything. Prosecutors say this wasn't just celebrity misconduct. It was infrastructure, an enterprise. A system, a funnel of influence designed to blur lines and erase boundaries. Partners described being flown cross-country for free-coughs. That sounded less like private indulgences and more like performance rituals. Nights in hotel suites that weren't about pleasure but compliance. Saying no meant lost checks, cold shoulders, isolation. We can't stop wondering, what did Christian see? What did he hear growing up in that house? Was the rebellion in his lyrics born from rage or revelation? We hit replay on Diddy Free. The beat slaps, the chorus hits, but underneath, there's steel. It's not just about freeing his father. It's about freeing the narrative, the victims, the legacy, himself. And if Diddy walks, beats the rap, gets the best lawyers money can buy, will Christian still be free? Or will this album be reinterpreted as just another act in his father's long game of illusion and control? The temperature keeps rising. That partial verdict note, it still haunts us. The four-person's frustration with a deadlocked juror leaves one charge: dangling, racketeering. It carries a potential life sentence. Life, a word that echoes differently when you built your image on can't stop, won't stop. It's complicated. The jury doesn't need to believe all 8 criminal elements, just to convict Sean Combs of racketeering conspiracy, a charge that could carry a life sentence. That's the weight hovering over every whispered conversation and every redacted document. Somewhere tonight, the Combs family group chat is probably lighting up, one sibling tossing in fire emojis as Kristen's streaming numbers climb, another urging caution as tomorrow's headlines threaten to drag them all back into the storm. Christian might be staring at his phone right now, his father's contact glowing on the screen like a relic of a past life, thumb hovering, unsure whether to swipe an answer or let it ring into silence. Because that's what dynastic drama does. It blurs the line between loyalty and liability until both feel like traps. And then come the new whispers that Christian might be sitting on more than music. A friend of E-friend claims there's unreleased footage, digital journals, receipts that could turn the Combs name into a scorched brand overnight. Industry insiders say labels are circling already, prepping for a redemption arc built on defiance, not legacy. But to seize that arc, Christian might have to cut the invisible cord, the one that ties every check, every playlist placement, back to the shadow of his father. We zoom out again to the courthouse hallway. Diddy, once the storm center of any room, moves slower now, his exits quieter. He murmurs "love you" to his mother as marshals guide him away. Was that affection or optics? We can't tell anymore. The blacklist rumors won't die. Some believe Christian's alliance with the wasn't rebellion, it was insurance, because it doesn't bend. And if Diddy free thrives under his watch, others might follow. Artists, producers, maybe even fans. The brand could fracture, splinter into something new. Combs, but not Combs. And maybe that's where the real earthquake lies. Because revolutions don't start with armies. They start with one song, one line, one son refusing to repeat the script. And that's what Diddy Free might be. A chant on the surface, a dare underneath, and buried even deeper. A prophecy. If the jury doesn't free Sean Combs, maybe Christian will by telling the truths no courtroom transcript could capture. Somewhere, a documentary crew is already loading gear, because scandal sells but confession. Confession turns legacies to ash. And that's what the prosecution argued all along. This wasn't chaos, it was choreography. An enterprise built not just for profit, but for deviance, for brand amplification, for power and damage control. That was just another business unit. We glance back at Cassie's silence, Dawn Richards' warning, the layers of fear that coated every velvet rope. Then we zoom out again, laying those whispers across Christian's childhood red carpets, matching chains, staged affection, hiding whispered commands, applause on the outside, allegations beneath the surface. And at the heart of it all, father and son, standing together on stage, but maybe never truly standing on the same side. Because betrayal cuts deeper than subpoenas, and sabotage doesn't need a courtroom. It echoes in every bar, every beat, every verse wrapped in defiance. So we wait. The jury's still out. The racketeering count still looms, and that charge, that's the one that could mean life. Life, a word that sounds different now, especially for a mogul who built his image on can't stop, won't stop. That phrase now hangs heavy. Won't stop, what? Control, secrets, damage. Christian moves through that fog, wielding his father's slogan like a weapon but rewriting it line by line. Because once you start speaking your truth, you realize how long you've been silenced. And now, every bar he drops feels like a coded escape. Every stream, a signal flare. The House of Combs rattles like a chandelier in a thunderstorm. The dynasty is teetering, and we're all just standing here, waiting, ears pressed to the speaker for the next beat to drop.